Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, yes, yes. It's the Leaders World brought to you by Leaders World University. And today we have two phenomenal guests. They are not strangers to the Leaders World because they've been here before. And today we are talking the free currency, designing praise money can buy. Who is this for? It's for leaders. It's for growth-minded people. It's for owners of businesses, companies. It's for accomplished leaders. Maybe you're a rising leader. This is for you. And please go ahead and share it with your friends. Today, we are having Dr. Ojimo with us, and he's a physician and a certified talent management and succession planning specialist. He helps CEOs of medium to large size organizations build elite teams, strengthen their leadership and succession bench, and retain top performers. He is a Maxwell Leadership Certified Speaker, Coach, and Trainer, and also a Maxwell DISC Behavioral analyst and consultant with over a decade of experience delivering transformational leadership programs to executives, corporate teams, and institutions across the Caribbean, North America, and Africa. He holds certifications in learning and development and AI for HR. He is the author of the Leadership Architect newsletter, a weekly Substack publication read by leaders across diverse industries, and the founder of the Bench Ready AI system, an AI-powered platform that drives his talent management and succession planning work. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Welcome to the studio with us again, the amazing Dr. Ojimo joining us once again on the Leaders Well.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's a pleasure to be here again, working with this very exceptional professional. I know it's always going to be a wonderful time. It's always a wonderful experience. I'm having this very much needed conversations with you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Always such a pleasure having you on the show. And today, we promised and we delivered already. Yes, because she is here. Yes, Maria is here. Maria MBA is the founder and CEO of Step Up and Thrive, a New York State certified women-owned business enterprise specializing in executive coaching, leadership development, and employee training. Originally from the Soviet Union and bilingual in English and Russian, Maria brings firsthand experience navigating change and leading through uncertainty across higher education, municipal government, business development, and executive coaching. As a Maxwell Leadership Certified Trainer, behavioral disc consultant, a multiply certified executive coach, she is known for helping executives, entrepreneurs, and organizations gain buy-in, strengthen leadership presence, and create meaningful momentum through her coaching laboratory framework. Maria works with professionals and organizations who want trusted guidance and actionable strategies that drive real results and whose growth she genuinely champions. Ladies and gentlemen, join me once again to the studio to welcome Maria Maya with us today.
Hello, Susan. Hello, everybody. It's so great to be back. Almost like a reunion to a certain degree. I'm honored to be here today and speak to all of you.
It is. And today we are talking about the free currency, deciding praise that money can buy. Now, I'm just thinking, when you saw this topic, what were your thoughts, Maria?
It's something that actually I was like, oh my gosh, I just spoke about this to a certain degree at a nonprofit symposium. I was invited to be a speaker and presenter just a week ago for the nonprofit leaders in my community here. And that's one of the topics that I covered in my session. And it's something very important because people don't leave positions and organizations. People leave because they lack exactly this topic that we'll discuss today, and how to make it relevant, applicable, and improve the engagement and retention, right? It just has ripple effects in so many areas.
Ripple effects, it's about engagement, it's about retention, it's about honoring the people that we work with in different ways. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Go ahead and share this, and we'll be right back.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
Um, um, uh, Dr. Ojimo, do you think that this topic is kind of underestimated in the leadership space? What's your thought?
Oh yes, it's way underestimated in the leadership space. And I'm also going to be speaking from a practical experience. I've had the privilege of both leading diverse organizations and also being led by other leaders. And many times leaders just think that if you pay people well, that is okay, which is never the case, because you are dealing with human beings, you're not dealing with robots. All right. Every one of the fundamental needs of every human is the need to feel valued, the need to feel loved, the need to feel that what they do matters a lot. All right. And I have been in organizations where the leaders, they are very, very, how will I put it now, they mice praise, they hardly give praises, but their voices are always audible when somebody does something wrong, and it's such a very toxic place. So whenever you hear the leader talk, you just know that something has gone wrong. There's no praise, there's no appreciation. You don't make people feel like they matter. And so again, it's very important, because there are companies who spend so much money trying to employ people, spend so much money trying to look good on the outside, and genuine appreciation, genuine praise for your employees will go a long way to retain them. It will go a long way to motivate them to give you better service. It will go a long way to do so many things. So yes, to answer your question, it's very underrated in the leadership space.
And talking about genuine, did you want to chip into that, Maria?
Yes, I was actually part of my session. I was bringing some statistics in my recent training, and it was shocking for me when I was preparing for the session to explore that Gallup actually just in 2024 identified in their report that the quality of recognition, 95% of employees are very likely to leave their company and organization if they don't get any recognition over the 2-year period. And that's shocking, 95%. If you think about the number, only 5% will remain if they're not recognized, if they don't feel valued, if they don't feel seen and acknowledged for the strengths and talent. So leaders really need to be aware of it, whether it's a mid-level manager or a rising supervisor, because they can really impact the culture and the sustainability of the organization if they don't pay attention to this.
Sometimes people say, "Oh, it might just become flattery. It might just become flattery, like, just throwing praises out there because, oh, we learned in this training that as a top manager, we have to learn to praise our people, and it may not be sincere." And what are your thoughts, Dr. Ojimo?
Yeah, so like every other human, thank you for that question. Like every other human interaction, or rather every other human relationship, because even the relationship between an employee and the employer is still fundamentally human. You need to be sincerely interested and invested in your people. That's how you can give genuine praise. If you truly love them and truly want to appreciate them for who they are and for what they bring, then your praise is going to be genuine. But when you are doing it, performatively, it's very easy for one to tell when you are not sincere. If you are truly interested in me, you will give praise when it is necessary, and you will give constructive criticism when it is necessary. All right. But when you just throw praise, like the leaders who just, you say the same thing for everybody. All right. You praise somebody does well, you praise them. Somebody does wrong, you praise them. You are always full of praises, and it becomes flattery. It becomes useless. All right. And then there are leaders who praise you when they feel that you are upset with them, and so they use it as a means to try and win you back. So it's the bottom line is, if you are sincerely interested and invested in your people, you can't miss it. Praise. Your praise is always going to be genuine. And I'll stop it there. Thank you for that question.
But is it possible to overdo it? Is it possible to overdo it, Maria? Is it possible to overdo it? Let's say now that we are having these conversations and we're becoming more aware of the need to bring intentional praise and to be specific with how we actually approach the team members, is it possible to overdo it in terms of praising your team members?
Great question. Absolutely. It's possible. And the main possibility is when it's not authentic or when it's not timely, when it comes more as manipulation. I also train ethical influence. And one of the principles of ethical influence is reciprocity. And part of reciprocity actually is praise. And this is rooted in the 40 years of research done by Dr. Cialdini, who is the founder of the Cialdini Institute, and I'm honored to be part of it. So one of the trainings or insights that we deliver is how to utilize that principle of reciprocity. It's so simple, yet so profound. And when people are not aware about the ways to use that reciprocity, one of them is praise, particularly when it can become counterproductive and it can turn into manipulation. And nobody wants to be manipulated, let's face it, right? So for leaders, it's important to be aware when that reciprocity, particularly praise, comes in handy and necessary, important. And it's almost having, I want to say, like a play card in your pocket that leaders sometimes forget to use. When the praise is authentic, genuine, and very timely, and when it's explained with why you're given the praise, particularly there is a power of because. Like, say, if I wanted to praise somebody, one of my team members or one of my friends, you're doing an amazing job, I could just simply say, oh, you're doing amazing. It wouldn't have the same effect on the individual versus saying, you're doing an amazing job because you've created this and this and you've done. So specifying the details about what exactly I'm edifying and praising the person. And that's important because otherwise it'll become a stale phrase that doesn't really mean anything. And the individual will never feel valued or special in terms of what it is that they accomplished or what they've done. Thank you for asking this question. It's a good one.
Wow. Oh, wow. Oh wow. Yeah, I'm thinking how do you even know what type of praise to bring to who, Dr. Ojimo? How do you even know what type of praise to bring to who? Because we know there are different types of praise that we could bring to different types of people. To the one type of praise may not mean anything, but to the other, how do you even know how to be able to bring intentional, genuine praise? And while you're talking, while Maria was talking, I was also thinking about like how often is good enough for such praise to come in. Do we just wait for when something specific or something special has happened? I know I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, leadership. Thank you for that question. Leadership is a multifaceted thing. And good enough, every one of us here is a DISC practitioner. That's one of the reasons why I love the Maxwell DISC system, because it's one of the best compliments you can pay people, that you take the time to know them. All right, it's one of the best compliments you can pay any person. And typically, I've used the DISC for organizations, and that is where I would start from, because like we know in the DISC system, one of the valuable information you get from the Maxwell DISC report is people's motivators, who they are at their core. All right, and that tells me a lot. I have I have led a health organization where my nurse assistant, my nurse practitioner she was a high S. All right, and which meant that praise mattered a lot to her, but at the same time, she wasn't an extroverted person. She's not the type of person that would want you to make a public show of whatever she has done. She wants you to have a one-on-one interaction with her. All right, so I think the starting point for me is get to know your people. There are people, extroverts, for instance, they want you to tell the whole world what they have done. They want you to appreciate them in public. They want you to tell out what specific thing they have done for you. Introverts would prefer that you have a one-on-one with them, tell them privately, this is what you did that was good, this is what you did that was excellent. I appreciate how you are resilient, I appreciate how you've handled that customer issue. All right, so the starting point is getting to know your people, because when you get to know them, then you can tailor your praise, then you can tailor your appreciation. It's not, there's no hard and fast. I can't know you just by looking at you, Dr. Susan. Well, by working with you for a long time, I would get to know some things, but I believe that DISC is one thing that leaders should take very seriously, because it gives you so much information about your people, about your team, about how they want to receive about how they want to receive praise. Another thing I want to say is there is no hard and fast rule about when is praise too much or too small. All right, it's tied to the situation and to the individual. For instance, if you are dealing with an employee, maybe you transition an employee from one role to another role. Maybe this employee, somebody left the organization, and now this employee is doing the job of 2 people or 3 persons. They may be struggling. And if you have an employee who is struggling to do so much, you can't praise them enough. Every little thing they do matters. Every step they take matters, especially when they are navigating responsibilities that they have never handled before. You can't praise them enough. On the other hand, if you are dealing with routine work that employees are doing, I mean, you don't have to be telling them thank you every morning, every day, it's you look for something specific. You can even have a ritual, a team ritual, that okay, once every week, at the beginning of every week, we're going to have a team meeting, and in that team meeting, to always praise people. I know I've said a lot, but it's dynamic. That's the summary of what I want to say. The 2 major things is leaders should take out the time to know their people, and DISC is a good place to start. The second thing is it's dynamic. There's no hard and fast rule. As you know your people more and more, and as you understand the situation, it helps you to better tailor your praise. Thank you.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So you told us that it's there is no hard and fast rule. It's about your people, and taking time to know your people is very, very important.
And the situation
Maria,
they're in. Mhm.
and the situation they are in, and looking at the different personalities. Maria, a leader might say, I really don't have time. I'm a high D. I'm a high D. I really don't have time. It's about the bottom line, and all this relating with people. I mean, people should grow up. They should be leaders. Like, what's this all about? Maria, let's say somebody's watching us, and maybe they're already thinking like that. What would be your advice, your perspective when it comes to that?
Yeah, I have a funny story to tell about, like, specifically this high D individual or types of personalities. So I belong to many communities, and this community is Empowered Living Community, and one of our active members or main people there, Eric, he recently just shared, just like a few days ago, the scenario when he managed to schedule a meeting with the high D personality type individual who was just really hard to get. And he actually utilized that specific praise reward approach. And it's funny. What he did, he got a trophy, and he labeled the trophy the hardest person to schedule a meeting with. He brought the trophy to the assistant in the office and said, can you please give this to Mr. So-and-so? He barely made it to the parking lot back into his car that he got a call from this individual, the high D personality, because of the reward he got. and this is a scenario, again, when it comes in, it's unexpected, it's customized, and it's personalized, specific, right? So it was almost like to the point that it wasn't offensive, but it was funny, right? So the individual, this high D executive, he's so busy, he doesn't have time for this. Like, it's not his part. He's not available for any meetings. And Eric tried several times to schedule a meeting. And this was the approach that really bridged the gap and motivated action from another individual. And they met right after that. So this reward was timely, unexpected, and customized. And when we give this type of reward to an individual, when it's very specific, like Dr. Adam Gamoli said, specific, customized, and very timely, like it was just the perfect timing, we can move forward in the direction that we both want and create the results that everybody like in the most best in the productive ways, right? So this is one of the scenarios. But again, as this consultant, I'm also well aware about different personality types. And despite the fact that they're generational, different audiences, like say individuals are shaped by the time, the era, the cultural specifications that they were brought up in. There's also a disc, and I strongly believe that despite the age, when we can identify and read an individual who we're talking to and what motivates them, what is their main driver, this is when we can bridge the gap and approach with a specific praise or appreciation at the language, at the level that speaks to them. Instead of very generic and broad, we can be more specific. And this is where it's almost like having a magic key that can unlock, bridge the gap in communication and just establish that authentic connection. I don't want to go off the topic, but I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. And actually, there would be nothing out of topic here. Everything is already within topic just because you're here. And we are talking on this conversation. I think, that was really awesome. You told us about it has to be timely, it has to be customized, it has to be specific. And no matter who that person is, there is something that can get at them. It's for us to be able to find it. It's for us to be able to know the person. Coming back to what Dr. Ojimogo said about knowing the person. And while we are having this conversation, I'm also thinking about building a really high, Dr. Ojimogo, how to build a real high trust culture using this free currency that it's underrated, highly overlooked, and yet it's one of the pillars that we need to be able to sustain a culture where everybody wants to work in. Like Maria said, people do not leave, they don't leave organizations, just leave people. So how does this actually affect that culture in the organization?
Do you mean having a praise culture?
Oh, how does bringing praise, timely praise, customized praise, and appreciation and that motivation, how does it actually help in influencing a high trust culture?
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, thank you for that question. Especially when the praise is genuine, the first thing that it does is it makes people feel valued. It makes your employees feel valued, which is very, very vital. Because when people feel valued, research has showed, McKinsey research, Gallup research, I think it was Gallup research that showed that more than about 45% of people who are properly valued would stay in the organization even 2 years after. All right. So the first thing it does is that it helps with retention. It keeps your people there. The second thing is praise culture, having a culture where people are praised genuinely, and not just you, the leader, not just you, the CEO. It's something that your managers, your other company leaders, they model. The second thing it does is that it helps people, it creates psychological safety. When people know that they are always going to, praise is not withheld, when they are praised genuinely for their efforts, not just for their results. It encourages psychological safety. And where there is psychological safety, people can take risk. All right. And when people can take risk, we're talking about an increase in the creativity of the organization. We're talking about an increase in innovation. Okay. In addition to that, we already know, as Dr. John Maxwell will always teach, that everything rises and falls on leaders. When you as a CEO, you are very active and proactive in giving targeted, genuine praise, it trickles down. All right. Your leaders pick it up, your managers pick it up, your employees pick it up. And in that atmosphere where there is genuineness of appreciation and people have this strong sense of belonging, it then trickles down even to your customers, because your employees will treat your customers the way they are treated at the organization. Your employees, at the end of the day, they are the ambassadors of the organization. An employee who feels so valued at work is going to make your customer feel so valued. Comment. They're always going to create memorable experiences. All right. And so it at the end of the day, it is one of the cheapest ways of having an effective and efficient organization with very low employee turnover. I hope I answered your question, Dr. Suda.
Oh, absolutely. When we started, Maria mentioned about retention when she was doing her introduction, and I was like, we need to come back and dig more into that. Just dive more into it. Like, how does this actually affect retention? How does it influence people staying and not leaving? Do you want to please throw more light, Maria?
Yeah, sure. Well, statistically, it tells that there's like 8 out of 10 people, generally speaking, feel under recognized, under appreciated in their place of employment. And that, of course, if left unattended, can lead to really significant problems for the organization.
8 out of 10, that's a huge number. That's huge.
It is a huge number. Recently, just before around Christmas time, I was invited to an organization here in my community that was facing really stressful situation. People were leaving the boat, like several, major managers and top level leaders were leaving, and the main CEO didn't know what to do. So when it was a leadership roundtable discussion that I facilitated for that organization, we've identified that one of the main problems for that specific organization was the lack of recognition. And the neuroscience here also says that when people feel recognized, when there is genuine compliment, praise, reward kind of coming in the just worldly application, there's the activation of the pathway in our brain takes place and releases dopamine that activates the sense of community, engagement, and motivation. And at the same time, it reduces stress and burnout. So those people, the neuroscience really tells this, when people feel recognized and they feel valued in their work, they are willing to take an extra step and they're willing to go extra mile. And the part of from the ethical influence standpoint, I wanted to add here and emphasize, the mistake sometimes leaders make when this happens is they praise for the result, like congrats on achieving your goal, congrats on making this happen. And when they say this, the team members may feel like they've arrived, they've done their work. So what can happen? Everybody can stall the progress and slow down and pause. And this is not the result any leader wants, right? They still want their people to produce. They still want to do their best. They still want to be fully in or play full out. So an important moment here from the ethical standpoint, influence standpoint, is to praise on the commitment to the goal, not on making this happen, but congrats on your commitment, for example, to our mission, if it's a nonprofit, raising funds, helping homeless people, congrats on your commitment to the mission of our organization. And this is very important because we don't want to hit the brake, right? We want to keep going. We still want to create the results. Yes, it's important to make people feel valued, appreciated, but at the same time, continue that sustainable success and growth and development.
Right. While you were talking, I was thinking about, I think you mentioned that was just like a mistake that the leaders make that brings their people to the place where they stall. How can leaders actually ensure that they bring timely praise without making it feel like reactive or performative? I remember Dr. Ojimogo also mentioned that you praise the people not just for the results, but also for the efforts. And now Maria is telling us that even their commitment to the mission of the organization is something that's praiseworthy. So how can a leader actually ensure that they are always bringing that intentional and timely praise without making it feel performative or reactive, Maria?
Great question. Well, I think it's important for organizations or leaders establish some sort of the recognition system or like something more sustainable on a monthly basis per se. It could be nominating, where employees can nominate their colleagues. And this also amplifies another principle of influence unity, where people are co-creating something together. I had a training with nonprofit 6 months ago, and the employees raised a concern like, oh, we stopped doing this. We used to receive a monthly newsletter where one of us would be acknowledged. We haven't heard anything for a while. And perhaps maybe for the leader, it didn't matter much, but for the employees who used to, they were eager to see who's going to be spotlighted in that newsletter from their team. So it's important to create some sort of a recognition programs within the, whether it's a department, whether
So
it's
even if sometimes they behave like they don't care about that newsletter, they do actually care.
they do. Yes,
They
they
want to
were
see the
looking
spotlight.
forward.
They want to see it.
Yeah, and then, pat a colleague on the shoulder and say, hey, I saw your name in the newsletter. It does matter. It matters.
It does.
Public recognition, of course, not for everybody, but nonetheless, just feel valued, seen, acknowledged, and the fact that you matter, no matter how big or small your role is in the company, whether it's a custodian who is doing daily vacuuming and cleaning the spaces, or mid-level manager, somebody, just a staff member. It doesn't matter. Any person from any step of the hierarchy in the organization wants to feel valued, that their work matters, that they're seen. So
Right.
yeah, some programs within the organizations, I think it's important for leaders to understand that they need to kind of create it on a monthly basis and some sort of recognition. It could be a newsletter. It
Yeah.
could be a post-it note in the kitchen area or by the coffee machine where people go by, something little. My mom works in the grocery store. She just recently got a little card from her manager. She called me and she was so happy. She's like, I don't know what I did, but they gave me this little gift card to shop in the same store. And for her, it matters because it made her feel seen, valued, and appreciated.
Yes. So you're telling us about having some form of reward system, and yes, a reward system that helps our people to know that they are seen, we feel them, and we value them. But Dr. Ojimogo, some people say, oh, I feel uncomfortable. Some leaders are like, well, when the generation I grew up in, we don't just give praises like that, like you're here to work and we pay you for the work you're doing. All this new trend of praising, I don't feel comfortable doing it because I didn't grow up in that system. Doctor, how would we address this situation?
Thank you for that question. I'm smiling because I was actually in an organization where the leader had that mentality. All right, I think he belonged to the baby boomer generation, or I don't know. And he just like, you guys should do your work. You are supposed to do your work, and if you are doing a good job, it's a good job. You don't need to hear from me. And it was terrible because, at some point people left. Okay. So what I will tell such leaders is, first of all, it's not about you. Leadership in its own self, it's never about the leader. It's never about the leader in the true essence of the word leadership. And having said that, I am going to tell that leader that if you are going to be effective, because again, like Dr. John Maxwell will say, he who walks and has nobody following him, or rather, he who thinks he leads and has nobody following him is only taking a walk.
It's barely taking a walk.
As a leader, I'm going to tell that leader that at the end of the day, it is the people that you lead that make your position have meaning. And so you cannot afford as a leader not to be interested in making your people feel valued. Yes, I know that you might have grown in the generation where they told you to tough it up. They told you to stop, acting like a weakling, because there are people who think when you praise people, you are being unnecessarily vulnerable and you are going to make them become complacent. That's a very bad mentality. So I'm going to tell that leader, at the end of the day, you are not a leader without people following you. And if you are going to maintain that situation where you have people looking up to you, then you have to see praise as a non-negotiable practice. You are dealing with human beings, you are not dealing with robots. The people that you lead want to know that you see them, like Maria rightly said. That simple gesture to the mom, I can assure you that her mom is going to be one of the best ambassadors that that grocery store has. All right, she's going to encourage people to come to that store. She's going to tell people about that store. She's going to do more for that store than any advertising budget can ever do. And that's what you want as a leader. You want that situation. So forget about what has happened to you in the past. The fact that you were broken in the past doesn't mean you should continue transmitting that brokenness. You need to be interested in your people if you are going to remain effective. And having said that, I'm going to also encourage that leader to just step out of themselves, because one of the problems with leaders is that we are too full of ourselves. We are too self-conscious. It's all about me, me, and myself. As a leader, it's no more about you. It's now about the people that you lead. And to step out of yourself and just be genuinely concerned about the people who make things happen for your organization. And if that is your mindset, then you would see the value of praise. Let me pause there.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's not about you, it's about the people. Once we step into that mindset of it's about the people, then we want to help the people grow. We want to help them to be at their best. Maria, would you like to speak into that? Leaders who say, I didn't grow up in that dispensation where praise is given for everything. And I really think if people are doing their work and they're being paid, that's fine, and that's because they actually feel uncomfortable doing it. Is there, how would you approach that situation?
Yeah, totally. I resonate with this. Growing up, I started my career back in Russia. I moved here when I was 24 to the United States. So my first 4 years, and I started working early while still in college, were actually full of the scenarios where it just everything was you get paid, you come, and it's almost like that robot approach, as Dr. Ajimogo said, like you just come and show up and you do your best and you don't expect anything else. The money, your salary, that's it. You're lucky you have a job. But at the same time, I remember those several individuals who really kind of contributed to my career and growth and development by genuinely and authentically acknowledging certain things, because I wasn't very secure at that point. I wasn't confident. I was one of the youngest working. I was 18, 20, and people around me were all in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So that age gap, of course, I felt like I'm just a newly hatched chicken just walking in, and all these, wise, mature, and experienced professionals were around me. However, when a leader genuinely going to the point of Dr. Ajimogo, like when the leader authentically stepped out of that authority figure, like feeling big and entitled and not, maybe not appropriate to give and acknowledge somebody who did a small act of, contribution, bridging a gap, communication, whatever. I was kind of connecting the dots at that point in my career. That's when, and sometimes leaders fail to do that because they lack confidence. They themselves feel insecure, and that insecurity gets masked with this indifference, with this cold guard that they put on. And then the ripple effect that it creates on the organization is the lead. Maxwell talks about it all the time. If the company is kept at this specific lead, everybody suffers because nobody can surpass that lead that the leader himself or herself are kept at. So for leaders, it's important to acknowledge that they themselves, just be authentic, be genuine. And yes, you reach that certain highest maybe step in the ladder and you have all the authority to make decisions and tell people what to do. But at the same time, we're all human. And for the leader to also acknowledge sometimes that maybe, I don't know, tell me how should I do this? And even going to one of the subordinates and asking for advice and asking for, or giving genuine praise again, like you have done such amazing things and your ideas are so innovative. Let's think into that. So it's almost like stepping into that. We're peers here, and the authority is, although I do have a higher seniority, I want to be at your level. So for leaders, it's important to meet people where they are and be authentic and genuine.
And looking at the fact that we are all growing, still growing in different areas. And if a leader recognizes that, oh wait, this might actually be an area that I need to grow in, so what can I do to consciously build myself in this area? Because I have this position and I am in this place of authority, but this is where my gaps are. That's where leadership coaching and executive coaching comes in, which is what Maria does, which is what Dr. Ojimogo also does. That's where executive coaching comes in, and you speak with your coach about this area that, oh, I thought I actually had it all together, but right now I think I'm struggling with this area and I need help. And that is where that growth mindset comes in. And we know that the biggest room in this entire universe is the room for growth. And the leader wants to ensure that they are also growing themselves, even as they are helping their people grow. That is the kind of leader that I would trust, not the one that thinks they have it all when everybody is seeing your backside and they know you don't have it all together. You're the only one who thinks you're okay, and everybody knows something is off here. Dr. Ojimogo, did you want to chip into that?
No, it's like you have rightly said, and I love that statement. Everybody does it. We know that, and that's one thing. Leaders, many times leaders don't know their blind spots. They think that they are all that. They think that they are Superman, and meanwhile your team always sees the problem. They always do. Like, I know they always do. If you give your team members 10 minutes to just be honest with you without any punishment, they would tell you things you don't want to hear. All right, so it's very important that as a leader, like you rightly said, it's be sincere with yourself. If you find it hard to give, don't dismiss it. Don't give yourself the excuse of, well, that is not how I was trained. This is not how I was brought up. It's crap. You are gone at those days. Just give yourself to learning. Get yourself an executive coach, as Dr. Susan has said, and Dr. Susan, of course, is also an executive coach too. But in addition to that, have an accountability system. If something is not right, be sincere with yourself and don't try to excuse it away. Thank you.
Wow, an accountability system. Okay. I think Dr. Ojimogo is literally trying to take us away to something serious somewhere. Because I find myself just going on that trail, like, yeah, accountability system, but I just want to bring us back again. Thank you so much, Doctor, for all of that. Now, Maria, I'm looking at, let's say a team member is literally struggling, right? Is struggling and maybe they are underperforming. How is it possible for the leader to still bring meaningful praise, intentional praise, heartfelt praise, deliberate praise without, maybe sending mixed signals about what is happening here because the team member has been struggling and is underperforming, and everybody really knows that they are underperforming? How does the leader approach that situation to bring that intentional praise and make them still feel that sense of community and make them feel valued and cared for and cared about in the community without sending mixed signals like it's okay to just not perform?
Yeah, great question. Well, I want to say that sometimes it's not necessary for employee. Not everybody needs to hear praise. Not everybody is motivated by praise. Okay. But what's important that sometimes leaders or, the managers miss is just having that quality one-on-one interaction and genuinely showing their curiosity, their concern, their willingness to show that they really care about an individual. So that praise can come in just a simple act of spending time one-on-one and having a crucial conversation, or investing in the person and perhaps maybe gifting an opportunity to do, since we're all disc consultants here, an individual needs to know themselves to grow themselves, right? So when we raise our level of awareness about who we are at our core, how we're wired, what motivates us, and it would also help that boss, the supervisor, understand a person better and read them better. So perhaps it could be just, investing and saying, here, why don't we do this? And suggesting take a DISC assessment and we'll help you identify, your next areas of growth. and potentially blind spots. And then everybody benefits because the employee will raise awareness about themselves. They will feel valued. Statistically, it's proven that those employees that invest in their people's growth and development are much more successful in the business growth and in everything growth, because when people grow, we'll grow, right? So it could be simply that. And that's where we just talked about coaching a little bit. That's where creating that coaching culture is so important. And it's rooted in authentic conversations, in asking questions and listening at a deep level, not what just said, but what is communicated to you. So for manager to carve the time to have that deep, authentic conversation and ask almost coaching questions, the employee will feel genuinely that, he or she is being cared for, and that somebody else is interested in what it is beneath the surface that perhaps is affecting their performance.
Because at the end of the day, what's the purpose of the praise? What's the purpose of the praise we are talking about? It's for the team member to feel valued. It's for the team member to feel supported. It's for them to feel like they're a valued member of the team, and to promote retention, and so that you're keeping your best talent. And so I agree with what you're saying, that it doesn't have to be like praise, but it could just be coming the other way with coaching and supporting that person, and acknowledging, what they are doing right, because there's nobody on earth that gets it 100% wrong all the time, and they're always underperforming, and there is nothing good they are doing. We want to always ask, what is it that they are doing? I mean, sometimes it's just the resilience that they are demonstrating, because they are not giving up. There is a gap that they are struggling to identify, and maybe they haven't been able to identify it yet, and that's why they are still struggling. Just staying there, that staying power, that resilience may just be the thing to praise about what is happening. Dr. Ochimogo wants to say something.
Oh no, yeah. I understand what Mara is saying.
Yes.
And yeah, you of course you don't want to. The last thing you want to do is to praise someone for nothing. But then again, if I believe that if an employee is struggling, I won't praise them for what doesn't exist, but I would praise them for things like their resilience. If they are able to open up to me and tell me I am struggling with this. I have also had to do that, though it was a volunteer organization. I have thanked people that work with me for their honest feedback, for their ability to tell me that, look, I'm struggling with this. Some people don't say it. All right. I try as much as possible to, I'm not going to praise you for what you did not do, but because at the end of the day, that employee is already having some emotional battles when they're struggling. And just a little bit of, I see you, I know you have not gotten to where we desire you to be, but I appreciate the fact that you are trying. I appreciate the fact that you are showing up. I appreciate the fact that you are resilient. I appreciate the fact that you are learning. All right. Sometimes you could even tell them for being better. 2 weeks ago, you couldn't do this. Now you can do this. And that's a good step. And I want to celebrate you for that. All right. It's just a little bit. Of course, we're not going to praise them. Excellent job. Great job. No, that's flattery. It should be even the little steps that they take forward. Yes. Thank you.
In your experience, Maria, what are some of the ways people want to be motivated? Because the whole praise thing we are talking about, the free currency is about being able to motivate people to bring their best of who they are, their best of what they are capable of doing in the team. So what are some of those ways in your experience that people really want to be motivated? Can you give us some examples of how to actually go about it? Somebody may be watching and they're like, wait, I've not been praising my people. I want to start. How do they even go about it? Like the next 3-6 months, what should they be doing? What could they be doing?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. Well, there's two ways that I could look at this, or I would like to share the insights. One is from the lens of DISC again, when we kind of identify, and no, for people, for listeners here, you don't have to become a DISC consultant. You can just at least generally learn about the dominant personality styles, just as a starting point. D, I, S, and C, and how the people are motivated, what drives them, what are their main kind of extra ignition, so to speak, that kind of gives them that spark, that enthusiasm to go. So D's are results driven, right? They're very kind of just achievement, whatever they can achieve, they go for it. I's, they like influence and they like to be in the spotlight. So acknowledging them from the spotlight standpoint and giving them extra that visibility and general applause, they love it. They would go an extra mile by just having that opportunity. S's, they love when they're praised for loyalty, for their support, because they're the glue that holds everything together. And C's, they can be acknowledged for their precision, for their attention to detail, for their analytical mind. If an individual possesses that and they're very detail oriented, they like to research and do all this background data collection, they should be acknowledged for that. And the fact that a leader will recognize that publicly or just one-on-one will mean a lot to them. And they will go above and beyond their expectations, even just because they feel seen, they feel valued. And another lens that I wanted to bring up here is, again, an ethical influence standpoint. When a leader kind of unites people together, reminding about the mission or what it is that they started working, say it's a team effort, for example, right? And there's a major initiative that the whole company is partaking on, bringing it up to kind of like general knowledge, and then highlighting perhaps a weakness that, like, although we haven't had an opportunity to get there yet, I believe. So there is a general reminder about the past, what was identified, then the weakness, what potentially happens, and then motivating action moving forward. And just this sequence, I would say, the positioning will strategically kind of ignite that extra internal motivation for people. And potentially it's also good to ask people publicly about their commitment, because when we make active public and voluntary commitment in a meeting setting, we're way more inclined to follow through and get it done instead of just writing it or doing it one-on-one. But if it's in a group setting, people are way more committed to follow through and make the result happen because they themselves acknowledge that. So these two lenses, the DISC and then the ethical influence standpoint, when blended together, can really bring amazing results.
Wow. This is amazing. I'm also trying to look at it from like a generational point of view, from a generational perspective. Maria, is there like a generational difference in how people expect to be recognized at work? There is a lot of talk about these generational gaps and generational differences. From your experience or observation, what have you noticed? Is there like a generational difference in how people expect?
Great question. I love the quote by Dr. Tim Elmore, how he says, you have to read them before you lead them. And I find it to be so powerful because, again, we need to, and of course, I mean, it's easier to read by looking at the person's age, right? You can kind of identify whether they're Gen Zers or baby boomers, right? But nonetheless, we can tweak our approach. And like my father-in-law, he sadly passed away a couple of years ago, and he worked for the same organization for 52 years. He got a pin as his 50th anniversary, a little pin to where he was so proud of it. And he remained so loyal. He loved that place of work. And for him, the only recognition was the motivator for him was just that the company showed respect and genuine appreciation. It could be just words. New generation, and I see it from my standpoint as a parent. I have three people who are from Gen Z generation, teenagers, and they're very results driven. For them, because of the access to technology, they can get any information at their fingerprint. So praising, say, a week from today would it wouldn't matter to them. So it's instant, almost like they require instant recognition time-wise. So it's about the sustainability, but at the root, of anyone, we're all human beings, and it doesn't matter what era we come from. we all at our human nature want to know that our work matters, we matter,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
contribution we bring to the table matters. So
Yes.
yeah.
Dr. Ojimogo, do you want to walk us through what a praise design system would look like?
Hmm. Thank you for that question. So,
And is
well,
and is it going to be
first
public
and
or
foremost,
private or both?
if it's going to be public or private or both. Is that what he said?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. So, what the praise design system is going to look like is this. First of all, like Maria said, um, I would start by knowing my people. All right. So get to know them. And again, I am, because of how much I have used Disc, I'm more inclined to choose Disc. So I'm going to know my people first, and that's the starting point, and that's going to tell me how they're wired and how much they, or how best they would receive praise. I'm also going to explore um, personal conversations with them and know what they want. Now, having done that, the next thing I'm going to do is have like a praise ritual. So it could be that once every week I have a meeting with my team. All right, we could discuss what has been accomplished, what is the plan, what are the plans for that week. But very importantly, in that meeting, I am going to itemize and praise, give specific praise for specific things that was done. All right, so there's going to be a praise ritual. And then the third thing I'm going to do is, in addition to that praise ritual, in every working week, when I see something that someone has done, all right, because praise is usually very effective, like Maria was saying, and I think it's even, and as she has also said too, yes, there is this generational divide, but at the end of the day, we are humans and we are just behaviorally different. I have seen Gen X's who prefer open praise. I have seen Gen Zs, because of their introverted nature, who prefer you tell them quietly. All right. So that's why it's very important we know people at a behavioral level. So the third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I don't miss out on anything. And I would need to work with my managers and the company. If someone does something that is exceptional, I'm going to train my managers the same way, because they are usually the first eyes to see what the employees are doing. Make sure that praise is quick and targeted. If you see your employee do something that is exceptional, don't wait until an annual review. Don't wait until 6 months later. Don't even wait until 3 days later. Tell them as quickly as possible, and make sure that it is targeted. All right. So yes, I've talked about knowing my people. I've talked about praise ritual. I've also talked about making sure that we be on the lookout. The other thing I'm going to do is, from time to time, I always love having an accountability system. I love having a feedback system. I would create room for employees, because people change. The fact that somebody loved you to talk with them privately 3 months ago doesn't mean that they will not change tomorrow. All right. Sometimes roles make people change. Probably that person was an introvert when they were just a sales rep. Now that you have made them a sales leader, they might have differences. So from time to time, I'm going to make sure that we have ongoing conversations and get feedback from my team if there is something that would need changing regarding our praise culture. And lastly, which is very important to me, I want to make sure that I'm not just the one doing this. It is triggered down. And so I'm really very big on not just the CEO, but the company leaders, the managers. Once the top level people get it right with the actions, it usually flows down easily. So I'm going to make sure that I and my leadership team, we are all speaking the same language. It's not only the CEO who is always praising people. Your manager should praise you. Your team lead should praise you. And I'll stop it there.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are drawing close to the end of our conversation. So while we were talking, Maria, what other thoughts came into your mind that you think, maybe we should look at this area as well? Did you have any other thoughts coming into your mind? Of course, I have questions but I'm thinking if there were any other thoughts that came into your mind, please feel free to share with us while we have, and feel free to take another route and just take us out of this place because it's part of the flow that we are having right now.
Well, I just wanted to add that truly leaders or anyone, the people don't need to learn how to praise. They just need to learn how to truly show appreciation for people. When we genuinely show our appreciation in daily conversations for a little act of something, or just any little act of kindness, it matters big times, and it has such a tremendous exponential impact on people around us that we can literally change the world, not just our world, but for the world for the better.
The world for the better. So it's about people. So we have Dr. Ojimogo here with us, and Maria Maya is here with us. We've been talking about praise, which is a free currency that it doesn't cost anything, and yet many leaders forget to use it, because when we use it, what's happening is we are encouraging retention, we are encouraging motivation, and when our team members are motivated, hey, our goals, our bottom lines are being met, and we are reducing stress. Who doesn't want to be in a place that they feel accepted, they feel supported, they feel loved? And Dr. Ojimowo told us to know our team, and Maria also said it, get to know your team members, know how they are wired, have personal conversations with them. It's not about you. It's about your people. It's about the team, and get yourself out of the way as a leader. Get yourself out of the way as a leader, and bring that targeted, timely intervention in the form of praise, in the form of support, and that is completely different from flattery. It is not flattery. It is being genuine. It is speaking from the heart and ensuring that. Hey, your people are growing as you're growing. And we said also that might actually be an area of growth for you as a leader if you're still struggling in that area. And we are drawing close to the end of our session today. Maria, somebody may be watching this. What would be your final words as far as bringing praise, designing praise, and bringing it as integral part, as a tool in our leadership to ensure that our teams are growing and our missions and our visions are being accomplished?
I would just say that I would like to encourage anyone to use this free currency you have in your possession and just freely give praise. Of course, genuine, timely, and authentic, not something like you just tell like for the sake of telling, but be really mean it, like when you say it, and you'd be amazed the ripple effect and impact it has, because what we give out comes back to us. And there is such an abundance of opportunities. You'd be amazed how many more opportunities might open to you with new connections, new friendships, new relationships, new career growth opportunities. So it has such a ripple effect, and I would like to encourage all of our listeners here to start using this free currency anytime and anywhere you go, and you'd be amazed how far it can take you.
So are you saying that all these grown adults are actually needing to be praised as well? It's not just children that need praise?
Absolutely. We all need it. Yes, we all need it.
Dr. Ojimogo, your final words. Somebody's going to come watch this because they saw you on the show. And today we are talking about praise being that free currency that every CEO out there can use, every team leader can use, every manager can use. And what would be your final words to our audiences?
All right. First of all, once again, thank you, Dr. Susan and Maria, for this wonderful opportunity. And I just want to reiterate this point. You must always remember as a leader that it's never about you. I love these words of Jack Welch. He says that before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And it's very, very important. When you understand
Say that again. I love it. Say it again.
Before you become a leader, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is all about growing others. That's the quote by Jack Welch. And it's very important, because if you understand that, then you understand that as a leader, your responsibilities to your people first, before you come last. Leaders eat last. I've forgotten who made, I think that is the mantra in the military. Leaders eat last. So think about it that's the same thing with praise, because your people make you who you are.
Hmm.
Think about them. Without them, you cease to exist. So think about them. That's what praise is all about. Praise is not about you. Praise is not for you to look good. Praise is not for you to look effective. Praise is because the person you are leading deserves it. And when you understand that leadership is about your people and not you, it will help you make better decisions. And I'm going to put a stop to it.
I know we could continue for the next 30 minutes, but we have to be respectful of your time.
Okay.
The free currency, designing praise, money can buy. And today we've had the amazing Maria Maya with us. And also we've had Dr. Ojimoho here with us. Hey, let us know where you joined us from. If you watch this after we are gone, still let us know where you joined us from, and also send us stars, okay? And help us reach more people. Go to Facebook, like it, share it. Go to YouTube, like it, share it, and that would help us to reach more people. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next live.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.